Shalom, Israel. What's good, y'all? After a long hiatus, I, Gargamel the Entity, am back with another video for all my adoring fans. Now, let's not beat around the bush. I'm pretty sure you've all clicked on this video from reading the title, so you probably already get the gist of it. I do not like the Gameoverse pilot. And today I will be giving you 3 reasons as to why I personally did not like the pilot. Whether or not you agree with my opinions is entirely up to you, and I would like to hear more from you guys in the comments. It is always a pleasure and joy to interact with you all in the comment section. And with all of that out of the way, let's get started. Wait. Before we get into it, I would first like to suggest to all of you to first watch the pilot. Watch the Gameoverse pilot. It's really well animated, and some of the voice actors are really good at what they do. So I first allow you to watch it. I suggest, implore you to watch it and get your own opinion on it first, and don't just jump to my video. My video is based off of me watching it and my own opinion. My opinion is not law. I know that a lot of people will probably disagree with me or view the series in a different light. That's completely understandable. I just hope that a lot of you are not coming to my video as the first experience you have into Gameoverse. I would like for you to do your own research and view the video first. So here's the disclaimer to watch Gameoverse before I go into any of the spoilers or any of the controversy. Here's your chance. Okay, well, I've given you ample enough time. Let's start with the most obvious issue first, the female character designs. Again, this is not me saying characters can't be attractive. Attractive characters are everywhere. Anime does it, cartoons do it, video games do it, indie animation definitely does it. My problem lies in repetition. Because once you strip away the colors and hairstyles, a lot of the women in Gameoverse start blending together. Same body type, same proportions, same emphasis on curves, same outfit priorities. And because every character has the same body shape, it makes the character designs as a whole feel lazier than they actually are, or lazier than they were actually intended to be. In the words of Syndrome from The Incredibles, if everyone is super, then no one is. If everyone has an attractive hourglass shape, then no one is attractive. No one is special because everyone's got it. You know what I mean? This really starts to become a noticeable problem when all of the male characters are diverse. Like, if every character just had the same body build, like if all the male characters had the Superman body build and all the female characters had the hourglass body build, then no one would really be talking about it. We're only mentioning it because all the male characters look vastly different from each other. They have unique design, shape, chemistry, etc., etc. But all the female characters just look the same, but with different accessories. It reminds me of that one regular show clip where they're talking about those gnome characters that exist in that game and how all of the characters look exactly the same, but with different outfits. To give you a perfect example of what I mean with the whole vast body type thing being done right, let's me tell you about a series I like in this extent called Bee and Puppy Cat. The female characters in Bee and Puppy Cat are attractive and stylized, but they all feel fundamentally different from each other. I mean, just look at this well-crafted array of characters right here. As you can see, all the characters look vastly different in terms of body types from each other. No female character looks too much like another female character. What I'm trying to convey is that all the characters in Bee and Puppy Cat have different body types, including the female characters, especially the female characters. Sure, you'll have a character over here with an hourglass shape, but then you'll have a character over here with an apple shape. Then you'll have a character over here with a pear shape. Then you'll have a character over here with an upside down triangle shape. A show like Bee and Puppy Cat, which yes, it is an indie show, is willing to express female characters in a variety of body shapes. And if people find all these female characters to be attractive, that's not because we forced what the world considers to be attractive onto you. It's because we allowed you to pick from a wide variety of assorted female character design. Sorry, I don't want to stay on this point too long because honestly, this is one of the smaller grievances I have with it. Don't get me wrong, it is a grievance that I still have, but this could be chalked up to lazy character designs and poor visual management. Something that can always change with further implementation of characters later down the line. And this won't inherently affect the story of the episode in any major way. So again, like it's kind of a nothing burger. I mean, I personally view it as a problem, but again, this doesn't really affect the series as a whole. Now, as a visual content creator, I, as well as all other visual content creators, know that trust is the most important thing when it comes to your audience. Your audience must be able to feel safe watching your content and must be able to feel content with knowing that they're supporting the right people. But with Glitch, that has been very hard to do, especially with the controversy coming up with this pilot as well as the Amazing Digital Circus, which will now be getting into that as my second reason for why I don't like the Gameoverse pilot. Now, I have seen a couple screenshots here and there for J Slap, but there isn't enough evidence for me to call him a pure racist, even with him saying that he's a racist. Uh, but Aaron Hansen is one of the most racist people on YouTube to date. There are several video compilations on YouTube, several of this man just hard saying the N word, like N word, N word, N word, N word, over and over and over again. Like, how? How do you make this type of decision when hiring your staff? How do you go out and go like, you know what? You want to know who we need for a voice actor? Let's get Aaron Hansen. Yeah. Let's get the notorious racist. Let's get him. Now, I understand why Ross hired him. I understand what the creator of the show hired him because that's his friend. But it doesn't make sense as to why Glitch greenlit that. Why on earth did Glitch decide, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's have this racist on this show and let's permit this show out, especially after the Amazing Digital Circus controversy. They're still under fire for what Michael Kovac and Ashley did. Like they're still under fire for that, and you decide to hire a guy who's just straight up racist. I mean, one time it could be a mistake, two times it could be a coincidence. Are they gonna make it a third? Are we gonna now come out with another pilot coming out, and once again we'll find even more and more apparent racism in the pilots? How many times are we gonna support these indie shows for doing this stuff when we'll call out big time industry? And that's another thing I don't like about Gameoverse is because it's already being corrupted at the foundation. We're already pushing out a racist voice actor onto the audience because he doesn't just play one character. I believe he plays more characters than any of the other voice actors actually on the staff because he plays flappers and he plays gobbles. Now, as you probably know, whenever you're doing a job, you get paid based on the work that you do, which means that he's probably receiving a higher paycheck than any of the other voice actors simply because he's taken on more roles in them, which it's fair. If I'm voicing more characters, I should get paid more. But that becomes a problem because it's like, okay, so the racist is being paid more because that's the story you're telling. That's the image that people are going to remember. That's what people are going to look at this series and go like, okay, you're hiring a racist, you're paying that racist, you're promoting that racist. Like he gets some of the most speaking roles throughout the entire pilot, and that just pushes out a bad narrative. Black fans of Glitch already feel like they're being alienated ever since the Amazing Digital Circus conundrum happened. And for you to do this, it already sets the pilot down for failure because now nobody can unsee Aaron Hansen when they look at the Gameoverse pilot. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying people can never grow, improve, or move on from past behavior. That's not the point here. The point is that Glitch either underestimated how audiences would react to Aaron Hansen's past racist actions, or they simply didn't care how that would affect the fans. And both possibilities are terrible. But again, that could also be an issue with Glitch as a whole or Ross's writing decisions. We could always look at that as okay, what about the pilot? Well, here's something that I just don't like about the pilot. This is my third and last thing I'll talk about when it comes to Gameoverse. Kit as a protagonist feels flat. Because for a character with this much focus, Kit somehow feels weirdly unfinished, especially considering how vibrant or expressive her side cast is, like Flappers, for example. I mean, the writing constantly tells us Kit matters, the framing tells us Kit matters, the narrative literally revolves around Kit. But the actual characterization, it it feels shallow. A strong protagonist usually has layers that actively clash with each other, contradictions, internal tension, a worldview that creates conflict naturally. But Kit often feels more like a collection of traits than a fully realized person. I mean, honestly, guys, the only thing I could tell you about Kit after watching the pilot is that she's nice. She has the characteristics that could, in the future, make her a good leader, and she has PTSD. That's it. I have no idea her innate interests. I have no idea how she views combat. Like, does she view it as something fun? Does she view it as something that's necessary? I have no clue. I have no idea who Kit is as a person. Who is Kit? Like, if you were to ask me who is Superman, oh yeah, he's an alien, came to Earth who wants to save people because his grandparents taught him about responsibility and how to use his powers for the greater good. And despite the fact that a lot of people talk down about him or don't want him here, he will still risk his life day after day to save the normal human being. Batman, he's a guy with no superpowers, but because his family was taken away from him, he goes on the streets day in and day out, breaking bones and losing sleep, all in order to make sure that another kid never has to go through what he's going through. But for Kit, we have nothing. This is the pilot episode. This is the introductory scene to her. This is how we're introduced to her as a character, and I feel like we get really nothing. We get her motivation, we get her PTSD, but in terms of character, we don't get what came out of that. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, she's traumatized. Cool, we understand that. What did that trauma turn her into? What did she become because of that trauma, and what was she before it? That's what we need. That's what we wanted to see as an audience, but we don't get that. We don't. In the pilot, we kind of just get her as, yeah, she's nice, and yeah, she has the elements to be a leader. We see her interact with Gobbles every now and then. Speaking of which, Gobbles is one of the biggest fumbles I believe they made when it came to Kit's characterization, because they kind of tried to push in the beginning scenes that Kit was gonna have this teacher role to Gobbles, but throughout the pilot, it seems like Gobbles is the one helping Kit a whole lot more than Kit is helping Gobbles. And don't get me wrong with that one scene of where Learnosaurus, we learn. Yeah. That sounded cool on paper, but it makes Kit feel irresponsible. It Don't get me wrong. PTSD, panic attacks, we understand that, but we never truly see her being competent. So we are only filled with her being incompetent. We kind of see her being a little more childish than Gobbles. Like, she goes in mission. She's not even supposed to tell the player. She's not supposed to tell the player avatar what's going to happen to the world. Otherwise, the world may delete them. Yet that's the first thing she goes to when she tries to convince Flappers not to go and beat his game. Like, she panics and rushes that option despite the fact that she knows better, which, yes, that's a good way to introduce the idea as to why it's a bad thing. But why not have Gobbles do that? Wouldn't it make more sense for an inexperienced agent to say something stupid like that than for Kit? And again, you could say, well, you're talking about her not having characterization, but wouldn't that also be seen as characterization? But no, that doesn't feel like characterization. That just feels like the plot needed her to be foolish in a moment to explain a certain element that will be important later on in the story. And it just feels lazy, you know? I don't know why I should root for Kit And in a pilot, that should never be something that I should be able to say. You know what I mean? I should never be able to say, I don't know why I should support you. I mean, let's look at another pilot, right? A shorter pilot, Planet Tronica. All right, let's look at that pilot. We see the main character, Butterfly. uh what does she do throughout the whole pilot? Her and her best buddy play a small game of basketball that leads to a bunch of chaotic events happening, but we get a good look into her personality. She is very conscious about her looks. She tends to be a showboater. She's very cocky and arrogant. She's a klutz. She is unclean and tends to keep a bunch of random junk in her pockets. She's loudmouth, and when she tends to have a temper. All of these things are shown within the pilot. I know more about her in 7 minutes than I know about Kit in 32. You know what I mean? Is that not a problem? Like, for Butterfly, I know a lot about her in 7 minutes. I feel like I understand who this character is. I feel like I understand her motivation. I feel like I could very clearly explain to somebody how she'd be able to interact with characters, not just in her own universe, but also outside of her universe. But for Kit, I don't feel like I could do that. And while, yes, I see a lot of people drawing a lot of artwork of Kit interacting with certain characters to try and help them beat the hero of their games, I feel like, yeah, that sounds cool, but there's no real personality behind that. She just gives them tips and then just steps back in most of the works I've seen. If somebody else has seen another work, please tell me. But again, that's fan works. We shouldn't have to fill in the personality for a character you've made. When I watch a pilot, I should be able to understand who's in the pilot, how like it's not like Glitch doesn't know how to write a pilot because they wrote the Gaslight District pilot. They wrote the Amazing Digital Circus pilot. And in those pilots, I understood all of the motivations of the characters. I understood their personalities. I understood their mindsets. I didn't have to see the rest of this series. I didn't have to see episode upon episode. I just knew who they were, and I knew exactly why I'd want to support them or why I'd want to see more of their journey. Because I fundamentally understood who they were. I was like, okay, yeah, so this is how Pomni acts. This is how Ragatha acts. This is who Jax is as a person. Gangle, Zubul, etc., etc. Now, of course, a character can grow as episodes progress, but we shouldn't have to realize who Kit is in the next episode. You know what I mean? Now, loads of people keep talking about, oh, Gameoverse has the potential. But in terms of a pilot, it's not that good. And again, loads of people can disagree with me. Loads of people can look at my take and go like, man, you bugging. But in my personal opinion, it's not a good pilot. I mean, if we look at the too similar female character design problem, if we look at the poor choice of hiring a known racist as your voice actor, and if we look at how Kit feels flat as a main protagonist, it all comes down to a core issue with Gameoverse. A lot of the project feels aesthetically polished, but emotionally undercooked. The visuals are flashy, the presentation is strong, the concepts sound really, really cool on paper, but once you start digging deeper into the characters themselves, there's not always enough substance underneath the surface. Now, to be fair, Gameoverse isn't irredeemable. There's clearly talent involved. The animation quality is there. The ambition is there. And people wouldn't be criticizing the project this much if they didn't see potential in it. But potential alone can only carry a story so far. If your characters start blending together visually, if your public decisions repeatedly damage audiences' trust in your brand, and if your main character struggles to emotionally connect with the viewers, eventually people start to stop investing emotionally in your projects. And once that emotional investment disappears, no amount of flashy presentation can fully replace it. I'm sorry, I've been ranting for a while, but to summarize, Gameoverse feels like a project that knows how to look interesting, but still hasn't fully figured out how to feel meaningful. And until that changes in like further installments or whatever, I think these criticisms are only going to get louder, and we might even find worse criticisms down the line. Oh, and one last thing. In terms of Aaron Hansen's voice acting, I don't personally believe that he's actually a really good voice actor at all. Like that one scene where Gobbles tries to comfort Kit, I feel like the whole scene felt flat, and I felt like he was speeding through his lines. He wasn't out of breath per se, but he was just talking too fast for any of his words to really hit the emotional chord they were supposed to. You know what I mean? Like usually when somebody's talking, there's some sort of connotation, some sort of pause, some sort of natural flow to their words so that somebody can understand what the hell they're saying. But for this character at this seed, it just felt so unnatural. But hey, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think about Gameoverse? Am I being too harsh, or do you think these criticisms are more than fair? If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and check out more content here at Touch Studios Art. I'll see you all in the next video. Kwam Yasharala.